What is your name, please?
Shamel Jordan.
And you're from where?
I'm from New Jersey, South Jersey.
So, how did you hear about this event here in Fort Wayne?
When I was at FGS, which was in Philly last year, I met Margie Scholes, and she told me all about this conference.
So, did you come here with a group of people, or did you fly or drive? How'd you get here?
I flew in from Philadelphia with my genealogy buddy.
So, tell me this. How long have you been doing this? How many years?
Years, I have been doing research since the 1930 census came out. I guess that's 2003.
And what were you looking for when that made you get into this?
Well, my cousin's been doing research since Roots came out. And so I would help him from time to time. We would take trips, go to the archives, and I would help him out. And in 2003, I figured when the 1930 census came out, that would be a perfect time for me to create my own body of research. So I interviewed my grandmother. I'm a member of the African American Genealogy Group Philadelphia, so we got access to the archives on a day that they were closed. And I sat down and I went from the 1930 census and I went straight back to 1870.
And what did you find out that just really blew your mind?
Well, what blew my mind, one, is that I was able to go back that far in an afternoon. But that was because in one day, one sitting, one day at the archives, I did my oral interviews prior and I got great information. What blew my mind was when I interviewed my cousin Bertha, she said that her grandfather's name was Square. And I said, but Cousin Bertha, what's his real name? Because I expected Square was a nickname, but actually Square was his name, and it's a common name in Alabama and in the South.
I know a guy here in Fort Wayne named Square, and I thought it was a joke too. So, as you were doing your search, did you come across anything that confirmed your suspicions about your family? I mean, if your family has certain characteristics or certain traits or certain talents, and then you started searching, you found something that said, this is where it began.
Well, I would say that one thing that I noticed about my family is that they had independent spirit. My mother's grandfather, Will Stanford, they were in Barber County, Alabama, which is lower Alabama, and he was able to purchase property in the early 1900s, and there were very few African Americans in this county who had done that. He actually had to leave the county to earn his money in Florida, and he came back and he did this in Alabama. And just from talking to family members, he was very enterprising, and he created his own way. He was his own employer, and the land still remains in the family's name up until now. So that is very like the family that I know today. Everyone is pretty much their own person.
So what did you do when, after having success initially, then, everybody seems to hit a wall and they can't get beyond a certain point. What did you do at that point? Or how was the Philadelphia Genealogical Society, if they were helpful with you in that capacity?
Well, being in a genealogy group is key, because if it wasn't for being in that group, I wouldn't have had the skills to know how to be able to keep going back and be able to go back that far. So sitting around people who have knowledge is extremely important. They use the term genealogy brick wall, and I believe that there are brick walls, but to me, you just research another line. You take in all the collateral, what they call cluster research, so anyone who's related to your family, you're not just researching your direct line. You have research cousins and neighbors and that sort of thing. So that has been helpful for me.
So what do you want to say to a person who wants to get involved with genealogical research, but they just don't do it? How do they begin, and what is the best way to begin where they're pretty much assured success?
You are assured success first if you believe that there's records out there for you. Some people say, oh, well, the county burned. Guess what? There's always records available. I would say you have to talk to your ancestors, to your cousins, to your family members, and get information from them first. And then you have to try to prove or disprove what they're saying. So you want to start with foundation records. You want to start with census records, which give you a lot of information. You want to look at vital records. And even more importantly, because some people were just like record collectors, you have to learn the craft of doing genealogy research. Get books like Tony Burrell's Black Roots or D. Palmer Wooders' Finding a Place Called Home. You have to learn the history and you have to learn techniques for research in genealogy.
So after doing this work, this last question here, how do you feel more, or has this led to your feeling more complete as a human being?
More complete as a human. Well, my mother raised me to be complete from birth, so I didn't have to have genealogy to feel complete. But I would say that it makes me feel even more connected to this country. Because if you hear about the Civil War, that's other people fighting back in the day sometime. But if you find out that you have an ancestor who fought in the Civil War, it becomes more personal. Or if you found like a lot of my ancestors worked on the railroads. So it's not just something out there that people ride, it's something that my ancestors helped to build this country. And it just makes me feel more connected.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.